We bring you the latest updates from the Pna Newsroom. The Chinese embassy in Manila has formally denied the inclusion of the Philippines in China's blacklist for tourism. In a statement, the embassy called the reported tourist blacklist as misinformation. The clarification came after Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri claimed that the Philippines had been blacklisted to Chinese tourists based on his meeting with the Chinese ambassador Huang Xilian. Zubiri cited the crimes related to Philippine offshore gaming operators in the country as the reason. Earlier, the embassy said tourism is important between China and the Philippines and that it expects more Chinese tourists to come after the pandemic. In a Facebook post, Zubiri made his own clarification, saying that it was lost in translation and what Xilian actually meant is that the Philippines could be blacklisted as they do to countries that promote gambling for their countrymen. The Chinese embassy has emphasized that Beijing firmly opposes POGO operations as it harms not only China's interest and the relationship of the two countries, but the interest of the Philippines as well. The Office of the Press Secretary has vowed to be transparent and accurate in delivering and disseminating information on the Marcos administration's policies, programs, and activities. This came as the Senate Finance Subcommittee N approved the proposed 1.04 billion budget of the OPS for 2023. During the Senate subpanel's deliberation on Monday, OPS Undersecretary and Officer in Charge Cheloy Garafil said she seeks a wider public engagement to make sure that more Filipinos are aware of the government's plans and accomplishments. Garafil also said she would look for ways to improve the welfare of the OPS personnel. She vowed that the OPS would uphold free speech and expression in line with media's crucial role in strengthening democracy. The OPS was re-established under Executive Order 2 inked by President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Its attached agencies include the APO Production Unit, Bureau of Broadcast Services, IBC 13, National Printing Office, News and Information Bureau, and PTV 4. The political tension in Negros Oriental has de-escalated as Pride Henry Teves stepped down to give way to Governor Roel Degamo. Interior Secretary Benhur Abalos said he is thankful that the governorship dispute has been resolved, with Teves respecting and adhering to the COMELEC ruling. Abalos thanked DILG Region 7 for their role in the negotiations and the smooth transition of power, as well as Dumaguete City Mayor Felipe Antonio Remolyo for ensuring smooth communication between Teves and Degamo. He also appealed to both Degamo and Teves supporters to set aside politics and to unite for the benefit and welfare of all Negrenses. In September, the COMELEC declared another candidate, Roel Degamo, as a nuisance and proclaimed Degamo as Negros Oriental's duly elected governor. This resulted in the transfer of nuisance candidate Ruel's votes to Roel Degamo. The final count showed that the original Degamo got 331,726 votes over Teves' 301,319 votes. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court has yet to act on Teves' petition for a temporary restraining order against the COMELEC's move. The Philippine National Police apologized to Senator Robin Hood Padilla for identifying as Muslims the 3 inmates who held hostage former Senator Laila de Lima as they tried to escape the PNP Custodial Center on Sunday. PNP Chief Police General Rodolfo Azurin Jr. said they did not mean any disrespect when it used the word Muslim to refer to the suspects. He said he will take it as a lesson to educate the entire PNP organization to be more discerning in addressing all sectors in society. Padilla earlier called out the PNP for using the word Muslim as a stereotype term for lawbreakers. Meanwhile, the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos also urged the PNP to review its program on religious and cultural sensitivity for its personnel. NCMF spokesperson Yusuf Mando reminded PNP Chief General Rodolfo Azurin Jr. on the proper usage of religious terms like Muslim and Islam. He also urged the public to avoid biases, prejudice, stereotype, marginalization, and discrimination against the Muslim Filipino communities in the country. The PNP said it is open for a dialogue with NCMF to improve sensitivity in its ranks. Azurin said the situation at the PNP Custodial Center is now normal and that investigation is underway as they vowed for full cooperation with other agencies and law enforcement units. In other news, the Magat Dam will open one of its gates this afternoon as Tropical Depression Maymay moves closer to making landfall. The National Irrigation Administration said one of the dam's gates will be open today at 4:30 p.m. This is in anticipation of the expected heavy inflow due to Maymay. The gate is opening at 1 meter with an approximate discharge of 200 cubic meters per second. Tropical Depression Maymay was last seen 245 kilometers east of Valera Aurora with maximum sustained winds of 45 kilometers per hour near the center and gustiness of up to 55 kilometers per hour. Maymay remains almost stationary over the Philippine Sea. Tropical cyclone wind signal number 1 remains over Isabela, Quirino, Nueva Vizcaya, Aurora, Nueva Ecija, and the extreme northern portion of Quezon, including Polillo Islands. The center of Maymay is forecast to move slowly westward or west-southwestward towards the eastern coast of central Luzon. Maymay is forecast to weaken into a remnant low-pressure area as it makes landfall. And that is the latest and the biggest stories from the Pna Newsroom. For more news content, visit our webpage or head on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. We are also shown on the social media pages of the Office of the Press Secretary and Radio Pilipinas RP1. Stay tuned for more news updates. I am William Theo. We tell stories that inspire change.